a surprise to you? We've talked a lot about it today.
No, it's not a surprise because the league really has flip-flopped in every single thing they've done this season, and almost all season long, every suspension has been hypocritical, and what happened with Nicholas today is no surprise to me, and really listening to the explanation is laughable, and the way Brendan Shanahan has gone about making these suspensions and the things that have gone on are really somewhat embarrassing for the National Hockey League. And this is something that's going to have to be taken care of over the offseason, because what happened with the officiating, the suspension calls throughout these playoffs, is really, there's no consistency whatsoever. To listen to his explanation, it is really, it's dumbfounding what he has to say, and it's rather ridiculous because, the things that he said, I can't make sense of it. I don't think any former player or anyone in any single team's management, I guess the Boston Bruins are happy right now, but no other team can make sense of what's going on with all these suspensions at this point in time.
Alan May, Michael Jenkins here. It's just amazing to hear Shanahan talk about how Nicholas Backstrom has no history of doing something like this, and then, of course, laying out the one-game suspension. If you're a hockey fan, if you're a Capitals fan, how do you justify or how do you reconcile Shea Weber not getting a suspension for going WWE on Henrik Zetterberg and then Nicky getting this one-game suspension?
Well, it's funny about that is Henrik Zetterberg wasn't hurt either, but his helmet was broken. And you look at all the things that happened. And now what's happening is they're being reactive at the league office. And all the heat they've taken over the non-call the first night, and then everything that's happened in this first round throughout all the series. And I find it's impossible to know as a player, as a coach, as a fan, as an analyst, what is a suspension and what is not a suspension. And the league really has to find its way here. I think Gary Bettman is an incredible commissioner, and I think he's done a great job in the National Hockey League. Bill Daly, but really Brendan Shanahan was supposed to be an upgrade from Colin Campbell, and no one knows what is going on here. And you look what was not a suspension in last year's playoffs. Now tonight they're saying a player that got away with murder last year, this year, a hit that he made tonight in one of the games is going to be a huge suspension. And it's really, really, really critical that the league finds a way to determine what is a penalty and what isn't. There is no black and white no longer in the rule book. It's all gray, and it's a guessing game every single time. And the fact that it takes this long for the league to make a call, 11 p.m. at night, to decide that Nicholas Backstrom is suspended is rather laughable. It's either a suspension or it's not the minute the league gets a hold of it.
Alan, when it comes to calling those penalties, Backstrom, he had a couple of them in the game, but the last one that resulted in the suspension in the first place was the match penalty. How often, first of all, do we see these, and I guess are they rescinded once they are handed out?
Well, you know what, they hardly ever rescind it because then they'd be going against the referees. The referees are league employees, they're not employees of the team. So that would be a slap in the face to the referees in the league. And really what's going on now is the referees do not know what is a call and what isn't a call. We've got media members making calls to suspension, calling the league war room, and asking for explanations of things that normally would just be passed by. The referees, there has to be more pressure on the referees in the league to get the call on the ice at the right time. And what we're seeing going on right now is really embarrassing, and it has to stop. The league has to get its act together and make sure, not just the Washington Capitals, but every single team in the league, they have to find a way so the players know what is and is not a suspension. Is it a headshot one night and it's not a headshot the other night? And what we've seen with Nick, we saw in the Chicago game tonight, there was a hit that everyone's calling a suspension. We saw the exact same hit last year in the playoffs not be a suspension. So really, the players don't know what's going on. They don't know how to protect themselves. If they should protect themselves, you no longer have enforcers on every team in the league to take care of these situations. So players are just running amok and doing what they please. So one night it's a suspension, one night it's not.
Alan, I want to ask you about that hit that you're talking about between the Coyotes and Blackhawks tonight. First, I want to show it to our viewers at home so they can understand exactly what you're talking about. Their series tied at 1, and Brendan Shanahan is going to have to make a decision on this as well. Happens in the first period, Rafi Torres launching himself at Chicago's Marian Hossa. An unbelievable hit, and Torres has a history of things like this. We look back at a year ago tonight, as a matter of fact. Torres made a similar hit on Brent Seabrook when Torres played with the Canucks. And after tonight's play, as we head back to this highlight, Hossa had to be carted off the ice. And in this game, the referees did not call a penalty on Torres. So, Alan, I don't know if you've seen the video. You've certainly heard about the hit. If you're the Capitals with all this inconsistency as far as what the NHL is doing, how do you come out on Thursday? Are you timid because you don't want to draw attention to physical play, or do you come out angry?
You know, the one thing the Capitals, regardless of what happens with Rafi Torres, and last year, that hit was legal. This year, it's not. That's going to be the funniest thing that I've ever seen if he's suspended for this hit. He should have been suspended last season for the hit. He should be suspended this season for the exact same hit. No one knows what is or is not a suspension anymore. The players, they just go up and play the game. They're reactive. But as far as the Washington Capitals are concerned, they need to be angry, but I'll tell you what, they need to go out and play their type of hockey. They don't need to play the Boston Bruins type of hockey and get carried away physically. They need to go out there and slow the league's best scoring team down. One of the bullies of the league, and that's the way they play, and there's nothing wrong with that. I played the way the Boston Bruins play. But the Washington Capitals cannot get caught up in that type of game. They need to go out and win that game with tight defense, good goaltending, excellent play by their forward, and they need to make sure that they're not worried about payback so they can get Nick Backstrom back for Saturday afternoon's game and try to win that game and extend the series. The biggest thing that has to happen now is the league needs to find a way to have consistency in every single call that they make. And there are gray areas, but you know what? We're seeing a gray area on every single suspension or non-suspension. No one knows that the Canadian media is having a field day with this. The American media, the sport is not as big down here, and it doesn't have the same percentage of followers. But the league has to quit giving into pressure from the Canadian media and start making the same call, whether this is in Toronto, Washington, St. Louis, or LA. They have to find a way to let the players know what is and is not a suspension in the National Hockey League, because right now, no one knows what is a penalty and what is not.
All right, thank you very much, Alan May. As always, we appreciate your insight into the breaking news that Nicholas Backstrom has, in fact, been suspended 1 game by the NHL. He will miss Game 4. Thank you, Alan.